got it bumping.
Now, PlayStation has made a massive U-turn after the Helldivers 2 Steam's backlash, and they scrapped the mandatory PSN account linking. And in a statement they released, they said, we're still learning what is best for PC players. Which again, to me, is just a massive cap. We know they knew they couldn't pull this off on PC players. PC players are a lot more reactive and will stand together more than we've seen console players try and unite, but just wanted to touch on this situation because it is a bit, I'm kind of on the fence with it because I can sort of see why they would U-turn on it, but in the same breath, they kind of had the grounds to stand their ground if they wanted to, because these requirements were originally in the game when it launched, but we'll talk about this today. But anyway, PlayStation has delivered a U-turn and scrapped its plans to require Helldivers 2 players on Steam to sign in with a PlayStation Network account, PSN account. Now, this requirement, as I mentioned, was present when the game originally launched, but because of unexpected early success, it led to several technical issues, and it was part of the technical issues that was temporarily removed. However, last week, Sony stated that the requirement would be returning on May 30th, and that all players would need to have linked their Steam and PlayStation Network accounts by June 4th, and if not, they would be locked out the game. Now, this news was not taken lightly by PC players. In fact, it was met with huge backlash from players, and the game was hit with over 100,000 negative Steam reviews on Steam in less than, I think, 48 to 72 hours. Now, the negativity continued over the weekend when the game was pulled from over 150 countries on Steam due to them not having access to PlayStation Network. Now, this is where Sony fumbled, in my opinion, because again, if the requirement was originally in the game, they could have communicated that to players, and they could have also chosen to not sell the game in regions where PSN is not available, right? Because then that means you're openly saying, okay, we relaunched and this feature was bugged out at launch, but we will bring it back. So that way, anybody who buys the game knowing this already. And anyone who buys the game in a region that doesn't have PSN shouldn't be allowed to buy the game because they're not going to be able to fully access the game, right? So they just shouldn't make sales in those regions. But Sony fucked up massively because they sold the game in those regions and then they brought this requirement back. So again, which meant that all these countries that don't have PSN in their regions means that they technically would be locked out of the game, even if they wanted to link their accounts with PSN, which is so stupid. Again, this is a decision I feel like the corporate execs upstairs will kind of make, and it'll reflect on the devs and the studios, but the devs and the studios will be trying to tell these execs that, yo, this shit cannot fly. So again, that's where Sony fucked up, and that's where people were right to protest. Because again, like I said, because the requirements were originally in the game, I think they had grounds to, stand on business if they wanted to. But where they fucked up was they sold it to people who then wouldn't be able to link their accounts even if they wanted to. And then again, if people were starting to use VPNs and all sorts of ways to then link PlayStation accounts from other regions, you could potentially get your PlayStation account banned because of that. So now they're forcing you to violate the terms and conditions in order for you to just be able to continue accessing the game, which again is so fucking stupid, so tone deaf. Some of these execs just puzzle. They just puzzle me. But yeah, continuing on with the story. So what happened eventually, like I was mentioning, is they backtracked. And they posted this, I think they originally made a statement on one of the PlayStation blogs, and they also posted a tweet about it, saying that they've acknowledged their error and they've scrapped the plans to require a PSN account for the Steam version of the game. Let me try to find that statement for you. Okay, so that statement said, Helldivers fans, we've heard your feedback on the Helldivers 2 account linking update. The May 6 update, which would have required Steam and PlayStation Network account linking for new players and for current players beginning May 30, will not be moving forward. We're still learning what is best for PC players, and your feedback has been invaluable. Thanks again for your continued support of Helldivers 2, and we'll keep you updated on future plans. So again, that is massive cap when they're just saying, oh, we're still learning what's best for PC players. They knew. Again, the execs would have known that, by doing this, we're gonna lock players out. So again, there's the difference, because locking players out who don't want to link their accounts by choice, that's not illegal. Maybe it's unethical, but it's not illegal, right? So they would have had grounds to stand on that. But then forcibly locking players out who bought the game not knowing that this requirement would be required, at not being able to actually even link the accounts if they wanted to, that's where you just make a massive, like, oh, the optics are just bad, the PR is bad, the decision is bad, it's just so puzzling and so confusing. But again, now the reason why I made this video was to touch on the wider point of people complaining about the whole PSN account linking thing. And I think I even mentioned this on a comment on someone else's video. I think it was Yang Ye when he covered this, that I think still going forward that PlayStation are still going to make their PC games, when they get ported over, they're still going to make people have to link their accounts, but only for like the multiplayer stuff. And now hopefully they've learned from this big fumble. You make that clear as night and day from the beginning at launch. And I think, as we've seen with the Ghost of Tsushima coming to PC, they're gonna do that with Ghost of Tsushima, where to play the single player story, you don't have to link your PSN account, you can do whatever you want. But if you want to access Ghost of Tsushima Legends, then they would ask you to link your PSN account. And again, PC players, they've got all sorts of launchers and everything that they have to do already on PC, so they're not necessarily inherently against having to like link your account and have a launcher and that kind of thing, even though, you know, Sony does have a dodgy security track record. But that's not like an inherently a bad thing. But from now on going forward, if you as a company make it clear, I think then it'll be water under the bridge and people won't complain. And that's, I think, what we're going to see with Ghost of Tsushima, and eventually when God of War Ragnarok goes to PC, it's going to be the same thing, where they're not going to, if there is ever like a multiplayer or whatever, that's when they would ask you to link your PSN account. But I think for all the single player components and aspects, they're not really going to care, just like with the Ghost of Tsushima situation. But yeah, just figured I'd cover this topic because it was such a weird position and angle for PlayStation to take. Like, it's such a weird hill to die on, especially with the success that Helldivers 2 was having. Like, they basically got themselves review bombed just by their own decision after being basically the most successful live service launch of 2024. So kind of weird. Just goes to show the disconnect between the execs and the higher ups and the studios and devs, like what the studios and devs are trying to do. Because even during this whole saga, the actual studio head made out statements and was like, yo, we're definitely trying to help, and this decision didn't come from our hands. So it's just kind of weird. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this little video. Let me know down in the comments below, are you for or against the PSN account linking? Do you think this requirement should be completely scrapped going forward in their games? Or do you kind of understand and see the position they're taking, where it's just going to be required for like the multiplayer games going forward, and then not required in the single player part of these games being launched? And again, most of these games are going to be single player anyway, because that's what Sony is good at. And I think only in the live service games will we see kind of, you know, a bit more drama and pushback. But yeah, just figured I'd do this little last news video of the day. There is news as well of a Horizon Zero Dawn remake, but I didn't think that was worthy of doing an entire video, as well as Red Dead Redemption finally also going to PC. So that, yeah, it's kind of a weird time for Rockstar to now be doing it, because again, we were supposed to get Red Dead Redemption on PC, I think 2 years ago, and we were also supposed to get a Red Dead Redemption 2 remaster style on like across the platforms, but that just never happened. So it's kind of like a weird position for them to go for it now, but I guess it's something they could release in this weird little middle ground before GTA 6 then comes out. So we'll see what happens there. And then with regards to Horizon, I can sort of see why they're doing a remaster for that. Although I think Horizon Zero Dawn still looks beautiful on the next-gen consoles. It could do with a facelift in order to make it as good as Forbidden West looks. But it's one of those like unnecessary things where hopefully they're not trying to repackage the game and charge it full price, but more so just doing like a $5, $10 upgrade. Yeah, whoever already owns the game, you can upgrade if you want it. anybody who doesn't own the game is you're buying, you're now buying the game in its highest form of quality without you having to pay full price for like the original older launch, whatever. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, stay dangerous, bless, and peace out.